At the onset, I need everyone to understand me when I say this. I in no way have or ever will support violent protests in this country. I spoke out against them during the violent protests of the 2020 George Floyd riot, BLM riots, and I'm speaking out against them now. I say that because I know every Trumper out there is going to try to twist my words and everything else to fit their ends, saying that I'm an anarchist or anything else like that, as they already have done. They've accused me ever since this situation began that I'm a Hamas terrorist, that I support Hamas. They're trying to push me every which way. However, that being said, I understand the reasons why protests are happening. If you see the reports that I've seen, if you're even paying attention to any of them, this unthinking blitzkrieg that Israel is doing ever since for retaliation, in their words, retaliation for the October 8th terrorist attack on their soil, you would understand. The Israeli military is killing more civilians than they are the enemy. And now with this situation in Gaza, actually starving people to death, literally starving people to death, you can understand why these protests are ringing out. However, I say this to the protesters: remain peaceful, stay peaceful. Because once you cross that line from peace to violence, you've already lost. And more to the point, the message you're trying to get out will be lost. And everything you're trying to do will get muddied up in the fact that you guys are being violent, you're being uncooperative when it comes to law enforcement. You're playing right into the hands of the people that are looking for a reason to pull the trigger. And don't make any mistake about that. They want that reason. Now, I understand why you're doing what you're doing. However, I cross the line when you start breaking into buildings with baseball bats and breaking into glass and occupying college buildings like we're seeing in New York City with Columbia University. That is where I draw the line. You're not making any messages from doing that. All you're doing is muddying up everything you're trying to do. And you're making the situation 10 times harder for those who are protesting the right way. To my law enforcement brothers and sisters out there, please be careful, but be mindful. Not every single person out there is a violent terrorist or a violent protester. A lot of them are doing it for the right reasons. And a good portion, and unfortunately, a good number of them are doing it just to be violent, just to go wild. Make sure you understand the difference between the two. Because if you go up against an unarmed protester and you're seen on video camera, on cell phone camera especially, pushing an unarmed protester to the ground, you make yourself into the criminal. You make yourself into the thug, and you're buying into the very thing that these protesters say you are. Last night on CNN, I saw protesters calling NYPD officers at Columbia University the KKK and neo-Nazis. Do not let them buy into that. Do what you gotta do. Do what needs to be done to protect people and property, but don't cross that line. Otherwise, you're giving them the violent protesters as well as the peaceful protesters. You're giving both every reason to go against you, and more to the point, you're giving them more cannon fodder to use against you. Be safe, be vigilant, be mindful. Now to the Republican politicians, and you know exactly who you people are. I'm talking about the Madison Cawthorns. I'm talking about the Mary Jean Taylor Greens. I'm talking about the Johnson, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. All you Republicans, especially you, Donald Trump, looking to make political hay on this situation, stop. Just stop. Because you didn't say half the crap you've said when January 6th hit. You didn't say half the crap you said you're saying now about terrorism and all that when January 6th hit. Because, and in fact, most of you support what happened on January 6th, especially you, Green, and especially you, Trump, trying to talk all wise and caring and all that crap. No. Where was that wise and caring crap when you sent a mob of people to try to overturn the election by force and failed? In my previous video, I talked about the fact that Donald Trump is trying to might actually call for political violence if he loses this election. He's not even trying to hide it anymore. So when you're trying to condescend, and yeah, that's exactly what you're doing, Trump. You're trying to condescend to everyone, saying that that this shouldn't be happening. They need to send the National Guard in. Where the hell were you? Where were you, Trump, when the attack on the U.S. Capitol happened? You didn't call the National Guard, regardless of how many times you want to try to scream it. You didn't do a damn thing to stop it during the 187 minutes, except the fact that you tried to encourage it by posting a tweet of how your Vice President Mike Pence didn't do his job and steal the election for you. So don't give me that crap. Don't you dare try to use this situation, what's happening in Colombia and college campuses across the country, to try to boost your political aims. It's not going to work. Now, I don't support the violence that's going on with some of these protests, but I understand why it's happening. Until you understand the why, how are you going to do anything about it? Now, I support Israel before someone even thinks about trying to twist my words into supporting terrorism, because they already have. Hell, these guys, hell, the alpha males have posted photos of me saying that I'm responsible for the deaths of the U.S. Marshals and police officers in North Carolina. That's how depraved these bastards are. So how am I supposed to take them seriously when they want to cry and whine about protests happening on college campuses when they do shit like this? How am I supposed to take Republicans, the MAGA, in Congress and Senate when you did absolutely nothing about January 6th? The answer is, I can't take you seriously. Your opinions were not sought nor wanted. But again, I will say this again so everyone understands me. I support the protests, not the violence. Because what Israel is doing is wrong. Retaliation is one thing for a terrorist attack, but this has gone way beyond retaliation. What Netanyahu, who probably might be issued a warrant by the International Criminal Courts, what he has done is an unthinking blitzkrieg. He is killing more civilians. I'm going to repeat this. He is killing more civilians on the battlefield than the enemy themselves. In war, and again, someone is going to say the United States has done that before. Here's the difference. Civilian casualties are an unfortunate reality in warfare. And when it happens, we are broken by that fact. It's unfortunate, but it happens. But the unthinking, unrelenting murder of civilians is being, without any kind of thought as to getting civilians out of harm's way, That to me is evil. The purposeful starvation of enemy of non-combatants is evil, and that is what Israel, Prime Minister Netanyahu, and his military are doing in the Gaza Strip, in Gaza. If I saw the images, I've seen the images. I'd probably be out there with those protesters too. But here's the thing, and here's the big difference. I wouldn't be violent. The people who are they're breaking into buildings, they're just doing it for the hell of it. They're not doing it for the cause. They're not doing it to help what's going on in Gaza. They are just doing it to create chaos. Make sure you know the difference. Again, to the protesters, continue your cause, but remain peaceful, because the law enforcement will act if you cross that line. And honestly, if you cross that line, if I were a police officer, I'd be doing the deeds too. I would be going that far too, because you crossed the line from being a peaceful protester to becoming a criminal. Don't cross that line. For police officers, be aware, be vigilant, be careful, watch after each other's backs. However, know the difference between a few agitators, a few loudmouths, and the real criminals who are breaking into buildings. Know the difference. And for the politicians looking to make political hay, just 4 simple words: shut the hell up. You're not helping yourself, and you're not helping the situation. Because honestly, you are creating the situation. Please be safe. CTP, know the truth. God bless. Peace to the left, justice to the right.